Well, the Yankees lose 7-5. Score really didn't do that justice at all. Jake, people are upset about Boone. Let's just come out and say it. People are upset. They don't like some of the decisions he's made, maybe some lineups. And to be honest with you guys, like, some have pointed to analytics, right? People have talked about where Judge is hitting in this lineup. Is he hitting 2? Is he hitting 3? Should he hit leadoff, right? And you see that with Ohtani in LA. And Jake, you look up and Will Warren, I think we talked about it. You're thinking, oh, he's facing one of the worst offenses in baseball. This should go fine, right? He's not a great arm. He's got stuff. And then you combine that with facing a team that really doesn't score runs at all, and they just put up runs no problem. You give up 7, you're going to lose. So the question is, at this point, where do the Yankees go? No Jazz Chisholm. Anthony Volpe banged up. He's day-to-day. MRI was clean. It's pretty disgusting, Jake. And obviously we do have, I guess, a bit, right, of good news. Jeff Basson's reporting that the New York Yankees are promoting shortstop George Lombard Jr., the young kid, 19 years old, the top prospect, double-A Somerset. According to ESPN, Lombard, 19, was hitting .329, slugging .496, on base of .488. And most importantly, Jake, this is the cool part. This player, with his walk-to-K ratio, 23-22, seems like a kid with an approach. Still high A baseball, but that's a 19-year-old you're talking about. So this is great news, because I think in general right now, the verdict is the Yankees don't have a ton of talent, at least young talent in the infield. We're expecting Ben Rice to go over to first base next year. That's a good thing. People aren't necessarily thrilled about Anthony Volpe. Some are saying George Lombard Jr. maybe can take that spot, but today was a punch in the gut for Yankees fans. It was very upsetting, obviously a long baseball season, and you want to believe that these just come, but very disappointing. Jake, what'd you feel about today? I was pretty sad watching this.
Yeah, just uninspiring baseball until the very end. And I have to say, I don't entirely agree that Boone cost him the week, but I will say this. Okay. There were some things that I did have issues with, but I've already talked about it many times. Judge should never bat second. It was always stupid. We always tried to dress it up as, oh, well, it's, not leadoff, so there's still a potential to create a run. Right. But there is, the argument to get him another at-bat, right? An extra at-bat. And I just feel like more often than not, that's not living in reality. It doesn't actually end up being that way. What ends up happening is he still ends up coming up, but he comes up and nobody is on base. So, you know what I'm saying? Like today, for me, I'm over that. And then I think, people were really upset that Ben Rice, was pinch hitting today because Judge was DHing. I understand why people are calling this a punt lineup. I do. My thing is, I disagreed with Ben Rice not playing today and DHing Judge because you can't accomplish everything in one outing, right? You still need to win baseball games. So today, going into it, Gary, Volpe, he was banged up the day before. They wanted to give him today.
Completely
We've
fair.
been saying he should get a day for a while, so I have no issue with that. Then you have Jazz, who's injured. Then you have Austin Wells, who plays just about every day. So you have to get those 3 things taken care of.
Sure.
But unfortunately, Judge can't take today off, at least in the field. He just can't, because you need Ben Rice at the dish. It's that simple. To not have him in the lineup was ridiculous. Then you handicapped yourself. It was like essentially handicapping yourself to only 8 guys in the lineup because you put Pablo Reyes in at second. I mean, that's like not having a batter. So
I like that people in the chat are just calling him Pablo Picasso.
I saw one that said, the comment, I think I sent it to you, was like, I'd rather have Pablo Escobar at the dish.
No. I mean, look, we've got to get serious about what's happening because you have to remember when you brought up some of these variables and they have to be taken care of, totally valid, right? Volpe was never playing today, right? So at shortstop, you're going to have someone lesser defensively at short. But the question is, what are you getting offensively? Jazz Chisholm has been a 0 offensively for weeks now. So you should be using that as an opportunity to develop a young player. And I think the majority of us, I won't speak for everybody, agrees that Vivas should be starting every single day for the next few weeks. And obviously, if you want to give him a day off, that's perfectly fine. But due to the injuries, he's the only one doing anything worth a damn. So why aren't you giving him the leeway or the runway to be able to show you what he can do? Rather than bringing him off the bench, and they did that today, he hits a 2-run knock, and you're sitting there going, oh, wow, nice. Well, you didn't think that he was more capable of doing that than the player that he's coming in for? That's foolish to me. So, and to address this whole thing before we get to these super chats, because I really want to get to these, to talk about Aaron Judge hitting 2. Analytics say it's always a better thing to have your best player hit as often as possible. I'm not naive to what the analytics are trying to push. My problem is, do I want 30 more at-bats over the course of a season, or maybe they say the numbers are 11% higher opportunity to get that extra 1 at-bat per game to possibly take a lead in the 9th inning? Jake, we watch baseball every single day. More times than not, there isn't an exchange of leads in the 9th inning. The 9th inning isn't a difference maker inning. More times than not, the difference maker is somewhere in between. It's innings 1 through 8. And you tend to see when a closer gets on the mound, more times than not, that team wins. So that's my thing. I'm trying to maximize the Yankees' opportunity to win on any given day, not look at Aaron Judge's stats and maybe they're more impressive. So Aaron Judge can hit 1 through 5, Jake. His numbers are going to be sensational. He's still hitting over 400. He's going to drive in over 130. He's going to look like a Hall of Famer because he is one. But to suggest that we're going to throw him at 2 so that we can set up an at-bat for Cody Bellinger, which, by the way, people have said I'm too soft on Cody Bellinger. I'm as big of a fan of his as anybody. But you think I'm trying to set up a runner in scoring position with a player hitting 200 with an ops of 640? I expect him to get much better. There's no questions asked. But Jake, why would I set up that situation more often when I can just put guys ahead of Judge to accomplish the easier task, which is to get on base, so that we can have somebody who's paid hundreds of millions of dollars to do that job in driving in runs? I think it's common sense. Ditch the analytics and let Aaron Boone, which I shouldn't say let Aaron Boone needs to get those guys out the way and make some of these decisions the right way.
Yeah, I think this is how immediately I thought of it. Our origin, for those of you who don't know, Gary and I used to stream. We'd game. We'd play Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I love this because this analogy really explains it. If you've ever played Call of Duty, you get a kill streak, and then you get, one of those, kill streak rewards, right? So it's like Aaron Judge, you have the best thing in the game. It's like calling in an airstrike, but only striking one part of the map when you have 3 things that you can choose. You're only striking one part of the map. So you're only taking out one guy. You're not taking out 3 other guys or maybe more. That is what they're doing. 100%. That is what they're doing. When they put Judge out there batting second and not batting third or cleanup, they're essentially taking away RBIs from Judge. They're taking away runs off the board. Gary, he has, 11, 12 home runs? How many of those have been solo shots or 2-run jacks?
It feels like a lot of them. When you play COD and someone just keeps calling in UAVs, at some point, if they're a good enough player, they'll start putting on Predator missiles and chopper gunners. Yes. The Yankees need to call in the damn chopper gunner. I want to see, mind you, when people say, well, who in the world would you hit leadoff? Who would you hit to? Right? I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. Take your pick. Who do you like in the Yankees lineup? Is it Ben Rice? Is it Paul Goldschmidt? Right? Who is it? Who is that player? Trent Grisham, we've been laughing and calling him Barry Bonds. He's clearly the hot hand. He had another 2 knocks today. So having said all this, take your pick of 2 of your remaining 6 to 7 players in the lineup. Whoever your favorite 2 guys are to actually accomplish getting on base, those should be the guys you trust to get on base, and then you allow Aaron Judge to do the rest. That's what I was excited about. I think it's as simply put as that.
Yeah.
Brian with the super, thank you, Brian, says, how about we demote Warren and never use that garbage lineup ever again? Jake did address in some way. The lineup wasn't the best, but when there's a few injuries to this team, we don't necessarily have the depth to be excited about our lineup. And I did address earlier, I didn't like their choice of who to go to as far as young players went. That was obviously very disappointing. As soon as I saw that lineup, I knew it was a throwaway game. Embarrassing. What do you think, Jake?
I didn't think it was a throwaway game. I think, again, he was put in a tough spot. I agree, checks the boxes and everything. I just think he went wrong trying to give Judge a day. I get you want to give Judge a day off, or a half day off. That's cool, but don't do it when you have all these pressing things that you have to take care of. Like I said, I mean, the variables are obvious. You know, Wells can't play every day. This isn't like, oh, he's doing him a nice... No. Catchers can't play every day anymore. It just can't happen, okay? So Escara plays once a week, and this was the time he played. You know, he almost always plays, it seems like, at the end of the week on a Sunday. So that was to be expected. But to me, the top 4 hitters, Grisham should be leading off. It's that simple. He has a 374 on base. He's batting 296. He went 2 for 4 today, had a walk today. He's your leadoff hitter, right? Mm-hmm. When he's, of course, playing. So when he's playing, he's your leadoff hitter. Then your second hitter, because you want to go lefty-righty, well, go with Goldschmidt. He's a perfect number 2 hitter. So now you likely have at least one guy on base, if not 2, for Judge, who's batting third. And then the cleanup hitter, not hard, it's Ben Rice. Power, timely hitting, working counts. And then after that, I don't give a rip, Gary. I don't care how they fill out the bottom. The top 4, it's like if you don't have the top 4 together, the rest of it isn't going to come together. It just isn't. And so today, you know, Bellinger hits the home run, so I'm not going to sit here and complain that Bellinger hit a home run, but Bellinger should not have been third in the order. And it's like one of those things that is just, you're asking us to play mental gymnastics here with a 276 on base percentage hitting third. It's just not even baseball at that point. That's not even a thing. So it is frustrating to see that. And I understand, you know, in a lot of ways, the Yankees have kind of talked people into the idea of, oh, yes, it's better that Judge bats second because he gets more at-bats. How many more at-bats is he getting than the third hitter? I'm tired of hearing it. I don't care. Judge should be batting third. We want to maximize. We want to maximize his run creation.
The number's 30. That's the number. They want to give him as many at-bats as possible over the course of the season because technically it increases his ability, right? It increases his ability to drive in runs. That's what the analytics say. And I don't know. I just don't necessarily agree with that. I feel like a lot of times you get up on base, and mind you, they're going to say, well, he's going to hit 60 homers. He's going to drive in 140. So obviously hitting 2 isn't a problem. I mentioned early Shohei Ohtani hits leadoff, and he has no problem driving in runs. And they're right. But you know the difference? Isn't a first ballot Hall of Famer in Freddie Freeman hitting third for the Los Angeles Dodgers? Mm-hmm. Which Hall of Famer is hitting third for the Yankees?
Bellinger ain't a Hall of Famer, as much as I like him.
There's not another Hall of Famer in our entire lineup. So
maybe Goldschmidt, but we'll see how it goes.
I wouldn't put Paul Goldschmidt in the Hall of Fame. I think he's a Hall of Very Good. He's a very good player for a very long time. That's good. But I don't go to the yard and think I've got to see Paul Goldschmidt. Those are the Hall of Famers to me, and that's no knock. But I get putting a Mookie Betts or a Shohei Ohtani or a Freddie Freeman. I don't care who it is. If you want to go put, Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber, he's hitting bombs. Why are you going to hit him leadoff? Well, because he gets up there more often and he's going to pop homers. Okay, that's fine, but who's hitting third? Oh, Bryce Harper, the future Hall of Famer. That makes sense to me. I get it. But in this situation, the guys, and people keep asking me this question, why do people keep pitching Aaron Judge? And it's a valid question, but when guys are on base, let's just say in a perfect world, you handpick your 1 and 2 hitters. And then you say, well, they're on base. Well, how are you going to pitch around Aaron Judge now? You're going to walk the bases loaded? Of course you're not. You're going to attack this player because you have no choice to do so. And you choosing now to do that is now in turn going to create damage. And obviously, if he creates damage, there are multiple guys on base. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Jonathan Bordeaux, appreciate it. Been a member for 2 months. The Yankees need to be the Rams and F them prospects to get better players. This series was an indictment on our farm system. It's interesting that Jonathan says that. I think it really goes back to what I was saying yesterday, Gary, in that I kind of agree with Jonathan. I don't want to throw all these guys on the bus because, to be honest with you, I mean, Vivas just had his first base hit of his career. First hit. You know, it doesn't make him bad. He just hasn't gotten the opportunities. And I thought Peraza played well today. But, you know, I think the big thing is really pitching right now. Like, because it might not be what's causing them to lose some of these games right now, but I see it being an avalanche. Like, okay, it hasn't hit you yet, but you can see it coming, and if you don't prepare yourself, you're going to get wiped away. And I am concerned with that, honestly, with the Yankees right now. Gary, they have a 19-15 record, which is not bad. It's actually one of the top teams in the AL, but I don't feel like that's great. And actually, when you really think about it, I think it's really just their start of the season that's kind of covering up how much they've really been struggling. They're not a team that's, you know, putting together winning streaks like they've done in the past. I mean, this is a team now that we're starting to see win every other game. And that's just not really great, right? I mean, you know, you got to be able to string some win streaks together. You got to be able to beat. They lost this series to the Rays. They lost the previous series to the Orioles. You can't be losing in your division like this. So I feel like we gave them a little pass with the Orioles game a little bit. We talked about some different things. You know, when they lost that series, it wasn't as pressing. This series was diabolical. It was awful. I mean, the fact that they actually blew this series to the Rays, and I agree, like, there are people that have issues with, you know, their ability to win those close games. And I saw 3-10 when they're down 1 run. Totally understand. You're going to be probably negative when you're down 1 run, because more often than not, when you're down, you're going to lose. It's just, it is what it is. But 1-run games, that is the thing that's really concerning to me. It just feels like when they get into extra innings, they're going to lose. It feels like when they get into the 9th, they just made a nice comeback like tonight. I felt like this game was just absolutely tragic, like almost a train wreck. You couldn't look away. And then they make one of those typical Yankee comebacks where it's not enough to win the game, but it's enough to lure you in until the final pitch. And that you know how it's going to end at the end of the day. So that's the thing right now that I'm struggling with, is that I feel like the Yankees, while it's only 19-15 right now, and they're one of the top teams, you know, in the AL, they are going to start to be affected by this now. Will Warren, they can't trust after today. They can't trust Clark Schmidt. There's a lot of issues right now. And with the injuries, you can look at it 2 ways. You can look at it, we're weaker without Jazz. We're weaker without Volpe today. Or we get a chance to learn a little bit more about our team and about these guys. And so I like that Peraza played, but the fact that, like, Reyes was playing today over Vivas was absolutely insane. So I get what Jonathan's saying, but I think the long-winded thing, what I'll say is that the pitching is the biggest concern, because, like I identified yesterday, they don't have a timeline. I mean, Bryce Cunningham and Ben Hess are their top 2 pitching prospects, and they're not even close to the show right now.
Yeah, so I actually just completely agree with Jonathan. I don't have an edit to what because certainly he's probably thinking, oh, I'll leave this comment, and then one of them will kind of bounce off the idea and remix it a little bit in their own way. I don't have that. I think for me right now, I look at this team and I think, okay, well, I just read the report of Jeff Passan saying that the Yankees are promoting George Lombard Jr. to Double-A. That's a great thing. Yeah. He's putting up the numbers to create excitement, momentum, right? Towards the future and what could be here in the near future, actually. But just because you're at the top of someone's system, and that goes for not just Lombard Jr., but any player in any team system, just because you're the top player in that system doesn't mean a damn thing. Doesn't mean anything. Because if the guy at the top didn't exist, the next guy below him would be at the top. And it sounds funny, but it's reality. Just because you're the top prospect doesn't mean you're going to be a good pro. And that is the actual advantage. People ask why the Yankees always sign veterans, because we've seen them before. We've seen what they do at the big league level. And the Yankees have shown over the course of years, they're not developing key position players. So what does that mean, right? And Jonathan's entire point here is F them prospects and get better players. It puts a major emphasis on the big spenders. If you're not going to go make sure that Anthony Volpe becomes a star, in which he definitely is not going to, I promise you guys that. He's a good player, right? Probably underrated at this point. He's still productive. He's overrated offensively, defensively, highly underrated, right? But he's not who he was supposed to be, right? He's not. Even so, he misses today. We missed the defense. Okay. Did we miss Volpe's bat today? No, we did not. We didn't miss his bat. No one was like, oh, we really miss Volpe offensively today. No one said we're really missing Jazz Chisholm today offensively. Nobody said that. Because Jazz Chisholm's hitting 200. Not even. So the question is, are the Yankees just going to say, hey, here's that next shiny toy that's over here? Or are they going to take care of business in the now, sprinkle the good players around the field, and then when some young player's ready, find a spot for him? Don't tell me it's really bad over at third base for these next year and a half, but we've got this other kid who's going to fill in. That's where the frustration comes in, where fans, myself included, feel like, okay, well, I see this shiny toy third baseman on the free agency market. Go get that guy. You got to go get him, right? They said no to Manny Machado. Nope. We want it on discount. Oh, no. Well, we've got this other kid who will develop. We'll let him go to San Diego. Not a problem. And then as the years go on, you start seeing what Andujar does, right? You start seeing what Clint Frazier is doing out in the outfield. You see him doing nothing. And then all of a sudden, another high-prize outfielder comes onto the market. We don't get him, right? So I don't want people to think that this is this, oh, poor us, we never get any free agents. But you don't get to tell me to get excited about all these prospects when I look at the field and there's not one guy said, you know what? That excitement they told me about, they were right. It's not happening. And the fact that Will Warren is taking them out every fifth day and they don't have a single player in their minor league system, not Beater, nobody. Ben Hess, who you just mentioned, they just drafted him, Jake. We talked about him last year. So it's not good when it comes to these prospects. And when they do get here, the Yankees don't give them the runway to play, which tells me the story. They do not believe in them as much as they tell us they do. So, yeah, I have a hard time getting excited about some of these guys. I don't want this to seem like some funeral because we're still in first place. But we've got to remember also another piece of evidence of why we're in first place. This division is butt cheeks right now. These teams are not playing well. The Boston Red Sox are playing horrible. Tampa can't score. They can pitch. No surprise there. Baltimore is an absolute barnyard explosion. They're terrible. And we just went and lost the series to them. So this is no knock on them. They're just not a very good team so far this year. So that's why we are in the position we're in. Got off to a hot start. We're sort of sputtering now due to injuries and talent. And our young players aren't giving us an output. So, yeah, pretty disappointing.
Yeah, and I will say, I know there was an error. Will Warren gave up 3 earned. He missed a lot of bats today, 8 strikeouts, but there's just something about watching him. He does not look comfortable. He just doesn't. And the problem is, whether he's ready or not, like, he needs to step up in the worst way because of where the Yankees are in position-wise. I mean, I don't know how they're going to finish the season with the pitchers that they have right now. And think about this. The biggest issue, and by the way, this is why I was so against Sandy Alcantara, is because I understand it sounds great to go out and get a superstar pitcher or whatever, but think about all of the potential injuries on this rotation. I mean, Rodon's dealt with stuff, right? Fried has dealt with stuff. We were just talking about Fried does not last as long as you'd want him to normally. So the hope is he can stay healthy, but you could see a scenario where this team just completely implodes if they don't watch their back. And so, you already have issues with Warren. You have issues. Clark Schmidt is never healthy. Luis Heel is always injured as well. When you really think about it, he's almost always hurt. So, like, looking at it, and Stroman, I mean, I don't even think people want Stroman pitching, but nobody. He doesn't even want to be pitching right now.
I feel like this roster, kind of what the point you're bringing up, feels like a game of Minesweeper. At any moment, we could just explode at a moment's notice.
And I don't mean to your point. I'm not trying to make this a funeral show. but it's just more of a warning and things. Well, I've been asked, Jake, why didn't you bring this up before when you were talking so highly about? Because I didn't expect this to happen. Now that I've seen Clark Schmidt not really do a good job of coming back and already showing you that there are some concerns about his injuries and Luis Heel, what's going to happen with him. And then, Stroman, they trade away Nestor Cortez. We had the, Garrett Cole mishap. It's like, you really think about it. There is so much pressure on Max Fried and Carlos Rodon to not only continue to pitch the way they're pitching, but get through the season. Like the Yankees, unlike the Dodgers, who have like 11 starting pitchers that they'd be okay with, the Yankees have like negative.
Yeah, but the Dodgers also have firepower in their lineup where they can sort of pull the rope. Okay, one of our aces is down.
They can win a
right?
10-8 game is what you're saying.
Right. Blake Snell. Blake Snell's down right now with a bum shoulder. No one's even talking about the damn thing. No one's really even talking. No one cares. Right. And obviously we hope he gets healthy and great. Mm-hmm. But Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani. What does it matter?
By the way, with what Luis Soto said, I wanted to touch on this. Thank you for the 5.
Thank you, Luis.
You. Please explain to me why Rice didn't hit for, he says Estrada. I assume he meant Escara.
Yeah, autocorrect did him in.
Yeah, autocorrect. Bring up Cam from AA, send Warren down. So, I think he's talking about Cam Schlittler from AA. But, yeah, Gary, that is one of those head-scratcher moments. Nothing against J.C. Escara, but he has not proven in that moment. That was a big-time at-bat, and he did not look ready for the at-bat at all. It was just a dribbler in front of the home plate, and he grounds into a double play with the bases loaded. You have to get the ball in play, but you have to get it like a sac fly would have been great there. Now it's 7-6 instead of 7-5.
Yeah, Boone wants it to work, so it's not like he's intentionally just crapping the bed and he's like, let me just mess around here. This is his job. He's trying to do the right thing. But Luis brings up a good point here. Why didn't you bring in a player that I think all of us would describe as a top 3 Yankees at bat of 2025? It sounds silly, but it is what it is. Paul Goldschmidt, Aaron Judge, and him. Those are the 3 best players on our team. It's not even close.
Yeah.
So why didn't you bring that player in for a pinch hit opportunity? Why? And you bring him in later on for Cabrera. Why'd you do that?
Yeah, that was weird. I felt like the Yankees lost this game when they didn't come back all in that one inning. I felt like that was the momentum. I do not like this team against Fairbanks. I don't think Pete Fairbanks is unhittable, but God, I do not like the way this team hits against him. I don't have any confidence in them doing anything against Pete Fairbanks. I've always felt that way, and the last 2 games have not changed my opinion on that. So in the 8th inning, when they had a chance, I felt like that was as good a chance as any. Really, that's how I felt. Or was it the 7th inning? I think it was the 7th inning now I think about it.
Yeah, and Alex Reyes with the super says, I don't know what's the decision of not pinch hitting for Escara. So again, bringing up exactly. So there were multiple people feeling, right? Alex felt this way. I felt this way, right?
They wanted to make full, and this is how I would say it, they wanted a full rest day for Austin Wells. Well, in that case, I understand it's a downgrade, but Ben Rice can play catcher. You have to do something. You can't let, okay, yeah, we want to give him a full off day, full refresh, and then have that cost your team. I mean, that could have been the game there. If you put in Ben Rice there, bases loaded, who knows what the hell he does.
Did we get to this super, by the way?
We didn't.
Okay, I want to make sure I read it. So I'm sorry, big picture guys. Appreciate the 5. Thank you so much. Says, we legitimately might be better with Vivas and Peraza than and Jazz. But even if they kill it, they're not sniffing the field once those guys are back. So the conclusion there is absolutely correct. These guys could play like, they could be Kobe and Shaq 01. It does not matter. They would sit instantly when those players are healthy. And I understand it. You put a lot of investment into these players. You draft them in the first round. We get it. But my thing is that what does it really matter? I saw in a later chat, one that came actually after this one, people said, oh, well, why don't you bring up this other prospect? Guys, what does it matter which prospect it is? If the prospects themselves, regardless of the level of what your expectations are, if they're already not being used properly, so why would you just go grab another prospect? Why don't we just ask to use the guys that we do call up correctly? I think that is probably the better question. Because if you call up somebody in B-Boss and then you talk all day long on the post game and say, what we're really excited about is his play discipline. We love the type of at-bats he's taking. We think he's a professional at-bat. He can really hit big league pitching. We want to see what he can do every day. And see the key word there? Every day. And then all of a sudden, next day, he's not playing. And then he's pinch hitting. And then he has success. And then you show up the next day, he's not playing. And then he pinch hits, doesn't do something. And then the next day, he just starts. To some degree, you just need to be responsible with what's here. You can't just say, well, what's next? And so I frankly don't have much excitement because of what we're doing currently. With some of these guys, I think we can do more with. I do. Do I think B-Boss, I mentioned this last episode, do I think he's Robinson Cano? No. No, I don't. I don't think any of these prospects, other than George Lombard Jr., he's the only guy I see in our entire system that includes any prospects that have recently come up, Volpe, Dominguez, any of those players. Jake, I've never told you not one time I thought any player that I've listed here is going to be a star. I think Spencer Jones for about a weekend and a half I said might be a star, right? And I changed my tune pretty quickly to I think he could be a solid pro. George Lombard Jr. is literally the only player I think can be a star in the Yankee system. Literally. That is it. Now, having said that, that means the rest of the guys are just useful. They're pros. They're professional baseball players. There's ways they can help your baseball team. And to do that, you need to use them properly. Is putting them on the bench and putting them back on the field and then throwing them back on the bench, is that the best way to develop these players? Well, obviously I don't know anything, so somebody's going to have to tell me.
Yeah, and I actually didn't even realize until looking at the box score after the fact, because during the game I didn't pick up on it at all. Guess
What's
what?
How did I miss that?
Escara was at third. Remember I made that comment? Wells caught anyway.
Cancel the show.
Oh no. That's, I don't know how I didn't pick up on
Didn't
it.
see it. Hey guys, that's both of our faults. I
Yeah.
didn't catch it either. I saw what was happening at third base. I did. But then you just got to put it together. It was a busy day.
Oh
Wow.
my Lord.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, I mean, that just broke my brain. Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing?
No,
Like,
we want
when
to
you-
make sure we give them a full day off.
Yeah.
No, never mind. You just go catch the ninth. You got it.
Oh God. It's just, yeah, I have no, honestly, yeah, I kind of changed my mind. I think Boone just totally screwed the pooch tonight. I do think that. Cause
So now you see
yes.
why our audience, right off rip, before we got here, because we did announce we were doing this show, right?
Mm-hmm.
We announced we were doing this show at 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern, and people were already going off about Boone. That is the nature of why that was happening. And
Yes.
some people think, oh, he should just be fired. Let's just hold somebody accountable. You're making mistakes. Let me call them out. That's what we did. That's what we did tonight. Let's
Yeah.
call out some of the mistakes. The way you manage needs to be more consistent. I should be able to tell, based on the words that come out of your mouth, oh, we really love this player. Okay, well, loving this player sounds a lot like you're going to give him a real opportunity to show what he can do. And then I show up the next day and he doesn't start. I personally don't. I'm not being difficult on this manager at all. I feel like I'm being pretty fair. If you tell
Yes.
me that you really like a player,
See, they
show
see
me
the
that.
vision now. Because they're like, oh, okay, you both somehow overlooked that Austin Wells was catching in the ninth, which means that he would have been totally fine to pinch hit Escara.
Yeah, I feel like we're like a fast food restaurant. Like, you know how you go to In-N-Out Burger and people
Yeah.
will complain about how they make their fries, and I've been one of them. They're okay. But then all of a sudden you show up the next day and there's a new recipe, and you're like, oh, I like that one a lot. I think that one is the best recipe. That's great right there. And then you show up the following day and it's back to the original recipe. Then why am I a customer?
Yeah.
That's the way I feel, is that if you don't have a similar recipe throughout your season, aren't you expecting to make huge mistakes? Why would your new recipe suddenly work? I don't get it.
Well, the thing that I find interesting is we'll delve into some deep things that people don't notice on the broadcast, and then we'll miss something like this. So our audience is great for that. But yeah, I still stand by the lineup. Like, I disagree with Judge batting second, but I understand why certain guys were in the certain spots. All right. But this to me is way more, it's critical. It is more imperative that Boone gets the late game stuff. And in a game where you're down 7-2 and you're trying to spark a comeback and you get the bases loaded, Escar should be nowhere near home plate. He should be locked in a small closet where there are no baseball bats of any kind. That's essentially like what we're talking about there. The Stephen A. The meme with LeBron James. I forget. It was Jay Farrow who imitated LeBron James. But you get what I'm saying. Very funny impressionist. Yes, it was a joke. But you get the point is that Escar should not have been at the plate. I'm not hating on him and the outcome he had, because that's what to be expected when Escar is at the dish with the bases loaded. Guy barely plays. He plays once a week, and now you're like, yeah, win the game for us, guy.
Are you seeing this super chat from Alex Reyes? Alex, thank you so much for the 5. He says, and I'm assuming this is about the post game, so I'm so glad this is being brought up. He said Boone said he wanted to pinch hit for Jorbit instead of Escara, but after the double play, he changed his mind and left him. Okay. Does anybody... Now, mind you, we have a big sample size here. Large. Does anybody agree with this decision or this process? Because... Or did you expect this process? And I don't mean did you expect him to make a blunder. I mean, when you saw it happening the way it was happening, was that what you would have done? And I get it. We're not manager. We're not paid any money to tell Aaron Judge where to hit in the lineup. Like, we're not in the analytics departments. None of that. I want to know that process of where he said, nah, him, right? Pablo Picasso, you're gonna go play second base. And then you're gonna come up in a key situation.
Pablo Picasso.
You're gonna come up in a big time situation where I'm saying this is a key at bat. I think everybody can tell this is a big time at bat in this game. You know, I need to see him. I got to see it through. It doesn't work. And then later on, you see Vivas. Who thought that Reyes was a better baseball player than Vivas? Who? Jake, you literally said some good things about him before the season even started. Hey, hopefully during spring training, he's been showing this. Maybe he can continue that against left-handed pitching. And we both agreed and kind of, all right, well, I guess we'll see what he does.
As soon as I saw that he wasn't continuing that, I'm like, okay, I'm out.
We're out of this. What are you seeing? Is he watching batting practice? What are you watching?
It's not Aaron Judge struggling in April last year, where it's like, okay, it's Aaron Judge. He's going to cut. It's Pablo Reyes. Like, what is the, but Pablo Reyes, he's got just such a huge ceiling. We can't just give up on him.
How old is he again? I know
they're not saying that. He's 31, but... This is actually not really a surprise because Boone always has these guys where he just gets obsessed with. Jose Trevino. I know DJ LeMahieu is going to be a guy that he gets obsessed with when he gets called up. Alex Verdugo. Even when they're struggling, well, we know what Doogie can do. Really? Because Doogie he's only done Dookie since, May. And it's August. So it's like, yeah, we knew what he could do a while ago. But he doesn't do that anymore. So it's like at some point or another, you are what you are. And it's sad to say, but this is why Pablo Reyes hasn't caught on to a team. Because he doesn't have this consistency. And I don't feel bad because he's on the Yankees 26-man roster. And I guarantee you anything. Brian De La Cruz, who's in AAA, or Everson Pereira, who is in AAA, would be a much better option for the Yankees roster right now than having Pablo Reyes. It just doesn't even make sense at this point. And all he's doing, and this is my issue with having these veterans, Because people think, for instance, Trent Grisham, he's killing Jason Dominguez, his development, all that. I also don't really care because Trent Grisham's 28 years old and he's producing. But when you have a 31-year-old who does not have a ceiling, and he is what he ultimately is, and he's not very good as it stands, and he's playing over guys that you have no idea what you have in, yeah, I that's kind of where I draw the line, Gary. So
I think I figured it out.
There's always on a Boone team, there's going to be that veteran that he's that presence that's there just to stunt the growth of a young player. It will never fail.
I agree with you. Look at this, Super. I'm reading this. Thank you, Cheeks.
Cheeks.
Love that name. With Cheeks with the 2.
I don't know what's better, the name or the Avi.
Wow. Looks like a certain podcaster I know, but I won't even tell you. I won't name any names. So Whoa. Cheeks with the 2 says, I really miss 90s and 2000s baseball. I do too, because I think in general we had more of an expectation of what the lineup's going to look like or just how we're going to go about our business on a day-to-day basis, because there's a lot of moving parts. I think I've figured it out. I'm just going to do like Goodwill Hunting and just start writing on the board. Clearly, the Yankees need better players to where you say, well, no crap, he's going to be hitting there in the lineup. I think that's the gist of it. Because wouldn't you guys all agree the Yankees don't have a leadoff hitter? They don't have a 2-hitter. Do you remember back in the old days when you would just look at a roster that the Yankees would field? They'd come run out to the field. You look at the roster and say, hey, well, I know he's going to be hitting leadoff, obviously. He's the leadoff.
Yeah.
That's what he does. Right? You go to the field and you see a name like Johnny Damon. You say, oh, that makes a lot of sense. We're also just like justifying, yeah, Trent Grisham should be. Do you realize earlier in the show, you were like, yeah, Trent Grisham should be hitting leadoff. Yes. Is that where we should be in 2025?
Was that me saying Trent Grisham is the leadoff hitter of the New York Yankees? No. But it's you saying right now. He's the best right now. He's the best option for them. I mean,
he is, and you're correct. You are 100% on the money.
Ben Rice there is absurd.
It is nonsensical that Trent Grisham is having to have a career baseball year. Okay, he's having like a Matt Carpenter start to his season, and we're all just like, oh yeah, Trent Grisham hitting leadoff, and then the Yankees will say, well, he wouldn't be hitting leadoff if we were healthy and had things going. Really? So who healthy would be hitting leadoff for this team? Anthony Volpe? Because Anthony Volpe's not on the field. Would it be Jazz Chisholm? No, it wouldn't be, right? He's hitting 110? No. It wouldn't be any of those players. So my thing is this. You clearly, and I'm talking to Brian Cashman, you need to bring in better players, whether they're out your system or via free agency, via trade. I don't care. Take your damn pick. Have good enough players to where Boone has obvious options. Because clearly, we're having to do musical chairs, and people are picking this apart. I get it. His job isn't to make us happy. It never will be. But it's losing you games. Making decisions like having to go, should I play Pablo Reyes since we're a little banged up as a roster? A player who's hitting 180 this season is hurt, so my next guy up is Pablo Reyes? That is your next man up? That's not good. And then DJ LeMahieu, they're going to go, oh, no, he's our next man up. That's not good either. That's not good, Jake.
So the perfect
I think
leadoff
someone
hitter
had
for
to
the
say
Yankees?
The perfect who?
Leadoff hitter for the Yankees. An option. He's not on the roster. Perfect.
Well, probably Luis Arias, and he's a free agent next year.
Not him.
Quan?
No.
Oh, wow.
A guy that is obtainable. Brendan Donovan from St. Louis.
Oh, that doesn't excite me. I'm sorry.
No, I think he'd be the perfect guy. Gets on base. He's a great base runner. He has a 397 on base percentage. He has a 367 on base percentage for his career. I mean, Brendan Donovan's a guy that they've shown interest in the past. I'm not saying that I'm making this trade, but the 28-year-old, yeah. I mean, he doesn't strike out. He doesn't chase.
Certainly an upgrade. Counts. Certainly.
He makes contact. He's hitting 339. He's hitting third for the Cardinals, but really he should be leading off. I mean, they just don't have an Aaron Judge, right? They don't have a big run producer like that. So Yeah, I think this is a player to keep an eye on. I'm not saying that I would 100% trade for him right now, but this is a player that the Yankees have been interested in the past. And if you're looking for a guy that would make sense as a leadoff hitter, Donovan can play. I believe he could also play third. But
if he played third base, I would sign up for it. And mind you, like I told you before, he doesn't excite me as some long-term answer. But our third base options very clearly are so dry. We either got a guy who's not slugging, playing mediocre defense, and that guy's Cabrera. He'll hit 270. He'll give you 2 knocks like 3 nights from now, and you'll say, "Oh, look!" You look up, he's hitting 280, and you're thinking, "Oh, that's really good," but he's playing poor defense and he's not slugging a lick. So then you say, "All right, well, we want to see what we've got in these other players." They give you really good defense, and then they don't hit a lick. So the Yankees clearly don't have a long-term third baseman. They just don't. Okay, I know they're not going to say that. We understand why you wouldn't. But they also have a second baseman who's hitting 175. So to some degree, Donovan would be a huge upgrade in that area when it comes to the infield. We're doing our thing at first base. It's not a problem. It's a 1-year deal. The Yankees need output at third base, right? The Yankees, if they don't trust some of these young players, and then when they do trust them, it's freaking Pablo Reyes. It's a little disappointing, but I would agree with you. We need to prioritize fit. And sometimes you can look at a baseball player and just say, hey, what's he good at? Well, let's put him in that situation. Because if we don't, then I guess you're making your bed. So, yeah, I don't want to go talk in circles all night about sort of the young players on this team. Because the Yankees don't want to
come off like I don't. It's not that I don't trust, because I mean, obviously they haven't really had enough reps.
Sure.
But when I said Donovan, that's not me saying, yeah, get rid of Peraza, get rid of Vivas. I don't agree with that at all. Actually, I wanted to mention this real quick, Gary. I actually really liked the at bats from both of them, which I've said. But did you know that they had between the two of them 4 barreled balls today? So they're hitting, hard contact. Peraza had the second hardest contact on the team today outside of Aaron Judge, his double. So I keep seeing every time Peraza plays, he has hard contact, 109.8 off the bat. His expected batting average on that play was 460. Guy made a nice play, and it's a force out. But this is what I'm
you're talking about the single to left was 109?
What single to left? I'm talking about the force out. The single to left was 106.5. So yeah,
that's still very hard hit. Wow.
Yeah. So that's my thing, is that I'm not saying Peraza is a guarantee, but I've started to see some good things from him. I understand the error today, but I'm starting to see some good things from him. And as far as Vivas, I'm only seeing good things from him at the dish. So at this rate, I just want to see them keep playing. I thought that single real quick, I love that, because that 2-run base knock, his first hit of his career in the MLB, that was not easy. Okay, he worked that count, and then he swung at a pitch that was a really good pitch, and he swung with the exact same swing he had prior to that pitch. He went down and got it, used the exact same swing, didn't take anything off it, and ripped 100 miles an hour, to center field. And I just feel like the way he's looked, it's a short amount of time, but I want to see more of both of those guys.
Sure.
So I think the jury's out on both of them, but again, you can use these injuries or the lack of their health as kind of a little bit of a silver lining in a sense for the prospects, and try to learn a little bit more about these guys. Because the only way you're going to find out is if they play. And if I don't see these two guys, or one of them at least, in the lineup tomorrow, I'm going to be pretty pissed. I would say that.
Okay. Well, I wanted to throw one thing up on the screen, address it very quickly. Definitely won't be handled negative. It will not. Wayne Patrick says, you guys are not talking the main point, pitching depth, which is non-existent. I had a longer speech than Martin Luther King in our last episode about our pitching depth. I talked about it till I was blue in the face. So if you want to see that, that's by all means, and there's nothing wrong with that. Go watch our last episode. We talked about it in depth. We discussed the ins and outs of how the Yankees really, and Jake, actually, you mentioned it at the very beginning of the show. You said the Yankees actually have a lot of guys in the rotation that you can't necessarily say are long-lasting in the regular season, someone you can just clearly rely on, right, for 180 innings. Fried, Rodon, Heel showed it last year, struggled to stay on the mound. And right, that's just a sample size of one season, but he's never showed anything else. That was his first year. So, yeah, we've talked about it. No question we've done so. And the real question now is how did this advance to that San Diego series, which everyone will be watching. I mean, it's going to be a great series. We are banged up heading into it. It'll be interesting to see how we respond, but San Diego's banged up too. They are, right?
Yeah.
Jackson Merrill won't be there. He's on rehab. And you have to look at it. Teams in general, nobody's healthy. Dodgers aren't healthy. The Padres aren't healthy. The Yankees aren't healthy. It's a matter of how good is your roster to withstand that. And right now, it may save you. You're in a bad division, but what's not going to save you is when you show up to Yankee Stadium and you see the Padres rolling to town. That won't save you. You've got to play better baseball. And the Yankees right now, guys like Dominguez, it's going to be Wells. Wells was off today, right? He came into the ninth inning. It's unbelievable that he did, but he did. And we're expecting him to see him all 3 days. That should be your expectation. Rice is going to play. My expectation, he didn't play today. He was off the bench. He should play all 3 games against San Diego. So it'll be a huge test. We're going to see what happens. Cross our fingers. I don't know. That's all I got. And we got to get, by the way, to the Prophet X picks, because today we swung. It was a swing and a miss. I had Grisham. He gave me 2 knocks, but no bombs, unfortunately.
Oh, Waldo was essentially a vegetable, but
yeah, but he was a pool noodle today.
Yeah,
I'm sorry about that.
It happens, man. So we also took the Yankees money line. So yeah,
Jeez.
we swung.
Put the
and
for
missed.
sale sign.
I know we struck out more than Pablo Reyes. All right, yeah. So tomorrow over on Prophet X, you guys can use Yanks U when you sign up. Prophet X link is in the description below. We got some populars here. First inning total runs. That is an interesting one. My risky butt over here is like trying to hold back from going over 2.5 there, or over 0.5. Because I feel like the Yankees, following a game like this, they get out to that quick lead normally. Now, home runs, they only have Judge. That'll change. But Gary, I know you love these strikeouts. 5.5 from Rodon. I'm slaying that.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if Rodon doesn't get those Ks. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's certainly not hunting the strikeout. I think he proved that last start. But here's what I care about, right? What I care about with Rodon is what I think he now cares about, which is staying in the game. That's his mission. He was pitching, essentially, in garbage time last start, and it was a good thing. He really didn't need to pitch anymore, and he was still asking Aaron Boone to stay in the game. I think that mentality should be what he's thinking about as the game goes on. And if you stay in the game, Rodon is just too good. And I get it. He's no Koufax, but he's got good enough stuff to go get that. Yeah, I'm hammering the over. Take that pick. Yeah,
and Nick Pivetta is on the mound. 5.5 strikeouts. He's had some good stuff against, some of the Yankees, but Judge is not one of them. Judge has homered twice off him in 8 at-bats. He's hitting .278 with a .435 on base. Goldschmidt also .364 batting average. I'm going to stick away from Pivetta because I've seen this guy look really good and I've seen him look really bad against the Yankees. So I'm going to stay away from him, but definitely going to go with Rodon here over the 5.5.
I'm taking the under on Pivetta, by the way.
Oh, you're going to take the under?
Yeah. You know why? Because you're talking about Ks here.
Yes.
Right. So I'm taking Ks. I'll tell you why. So he's not striking out Judge. It's not happening, right? Mm-hmm. He'll maybe strike him out once. That's not going to do you in. But I'm assuming Vivas is going to start tomorrow. K to walk ratio, sensational. It's great. I'm going to assume all of the players. Ben Rice is going to be in the lineup tomorrow, right? You're going to see less experiments in this series in general, not just in this game. I believe the Yankees offense is going to look great in this first game against San Diego. It's up in the air what it's going to look like in games 2 and 3, and I'll handle those when they come. But game 1, Pivetta is not going over. He's not. I'm taking the under. Just me personally. You don't have to click it. I'm just saying that's what I would pick.
I will not follow you on that one.
It's fair.
Because 9, 6, 6, and 10, his last 4 outings. He does have 4 strikeouts his first 2 outings, but he has not had under 5.5 since. So that's a tough one for me, Gary. I'm gonna pass on that one.
We'll chat. We'll just do it in spirit, so you can. we'll see what happens tomorrow.
All right. So are we? Do we like any first 5 innings? I know that was something that we liked before. Total runs is 4.5.
I do not like these first 5 innings. I do not have the guts.
Right.
I don't have the guts for this.
All right. So.
Oh, Jason Hayward total hits. You get the over here, you become a millionaire. Love Jason Hayward, but come on. I'm taking the under.
All right, so I'm going to go with Carlos Rodon over 5.5. I'm going to take the over 0.5 total runs in the first inning.
Love it.
I think it's going to, yeah. It might not be a high-scoring game, but I think to start off, we see some sparks.
I love that. Yeah, let's do it.
And I am going to say Paul Goldschmidt is my dinger for the road. I think he goes yard tomorrow.
Okay. I'm going to say that Jason Dominguez is going to hit a homer tomorrow.
I like it.
Yeah, I think the Martian is due. He is. I mean, he's just sort of been sprinkling in some production. Nothing to really write home about. But he's been fine, right? His at-bats have been okay. And like I always say, if a guy's having good at-bats, he's due for a homer. So that's where I'm going. I think, yeah. And William Wallace's Dominguez is getting benched again. Yeah, no doubt. But if you do take this pick, if he plays, he's hitting a homer. If he doesn't play, he's going to pinch hit, and he will not hit a homer. So that's not good.
Way to really sell out there for the.
Yeah, I really bailed on it. I talked myself out of it. Dominguez, if he starts, there's my pick.
All right. Well, that's gonna do it. Gary, what should we? You got to move. Oh, well, let's just the Thunderbolts. I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it. I hear it's great. People keep saying Marvel's back. So if you stuck around with us, throw in the comments section Thunderbolts.
Yeah. Wait until the live's done. Jump back in. Drop Thunderbolts. No idea what that is, but drop it in. And mainly, like the video.